folks, it's another video here. Today I am joined by none other than Kaylee Powell, my lovely wife here and business partner as well. So we wanted to take a few minutes of your guys' time to talk about the troubles or the challenges that many landlords are facing right now. And that's the fact that it's April 2nd and some tenants have not paid their rent. Now, what we should be doing during these times, because there's a lot of uncertainty with what's been going on. So we'd like to start this conversation with a central pillar of how important leadership is in this time, especially as rental housing providers, which is what we are and what you guys are as well. It's incredibly important that we show leadership, because this is a crisis time frame and a lot of people are scared. A lot of people are very nervous about what's going to be done. The tenants who aren't making money right now could be very, very worried. So it's our job to help the situation and not come at it full steam ahead, because I think that would have negative repercussions all around.
I agree. I think that the responsibility of us right now also as landlords is to not perpetuate an already misguided stereotype where, it's always the landlord pitted against tenant. And there's this animosity and this tension, like landlords are filthy rich and, we're all sitting on tons of money and it's at the expense of the tenants, where that's just not the case. I don't know a single client or friend or colleague in this industry that's sitting in that position. So we've always come from the standpoint that, there are clients and we really appreciate our tenants, and we've had really bad tenants and we've had really great tenants. So we've had experiences with them all.
Oh, that's for sure. That's for sure.
But at the end of the day, we're trying to be realistic and compassionate and provide resources and solutions instead of just getting bogged down with feeling, like helpless. We're not helpless. We have resources. And we have each other. Right? Yeah. We can band together and help.
Thing is that right now the LTB is on a temporary shutdown. So there's not a whole lot that can be done from the legality standpoint, regardless. Everything's on hold. Now, the LTB won't be shut down forever. And when it does reopen, expect that there's going to be even more delays than what we've seen originally. The system is so friggin' broken. It's unbelievable. And I'm actually wondering if this whole what's going on with the COVID-19 shutdown, with this whole backlog that's going to start to take place, because we all know that the pendulum has already swung so far in favor of tenancies that it's crazy that you need 5 months to get a hearing for non-payment of rent, stupid things like that. Yeah. That I think that because of this backlog, this might actually instill some sort of movement or some sort of action on behalf of the government to start being more purposeful and start really being a little bit more fair, because it's absolutely ridiculous what's going on. But because of this shutdown of the LTB, we have to use only the tools that are in our tool belt. We don't have any other options at this point. So this is why it's so important that when we're talking to our tenants, that we're working something out with them and trying to create some sort of a plan moving forward, right?
Yep. So I think probably one of the first things, if you haven't already, reach out to your tenants. I know a lot of really great, investor clubs, ourselves included. We've got a really great email template. If you guys want, we're happy to send it to you. But be proactive, reach out, touch base with them, check in, honestly, just from a human level, see if they're okay. And, make sure that they are aware of kind of the resources. If they've been laid off, do they even know how to collect unemployment? Are they eligible for any of the other kind of COVID related relief that's available? Sure. Things that we've done, we were pretty fortunate. I think we had a few tenants that are on payment plans, but we're proactive. We're working with them.
And a lot of it's like the conversation, we've done a pretty good job screening our tenants too. So it's the right type of person that we want on our properties. But a lot of these people who aren't able to pay, they're actually have already developed plans themselves. So knock on wood, we've gotten pretty lucky in that respect. However, to Kaylee's point, it goes a long way to offer support and be like, okay, how do you want to work this out? What works for you? Well, one of our tenants, for example, was laid off. They're a non-essential worker and they're collecting employment insurance. So they need to pay now in the middle of the month rather than on the first. And it's okay with us because we've, opened the doors and said, okay, let's work this out together. In the off chance that we would have said, no, non-payment of rent right now, this is, then it wouldn't have gone over very well. In fact, you could likely cause the exact opposite effect, right?
And no, too, there's, I know that the LTB for now isn't doing evictions, and eventually, there will be a backlog. As business owners, we still need to maintain a paper trail. So, make sure that these conversations are happening, but whether you're following up with an email that they acknowledge or the conversation is done purely just via email. And I know, people are still saying you should still be issuing your N4s.
Yeah,
right?
So, and I
and explain to them why, because we're not here to scare people or to think that they're going to be, thrown out on the street.
Yeah.
But they need to understand that this is still a business, right? And you need to prepare yourself for maybe the, down the line if they do need to move on, right? So
it's a very good point. And we've been listening to a lot of other experts in the same category with the different investors groups that we're affiliated with. And everyone's repeating the same song, is that even though we're working with our tenants to create payment plans and things like that, we should still be issuing the N4. And issue it with the silver lining, saying that, listen, this N4 is not to evict you. In fact, that's not my intention. I don't want to do that. But we do have to protect ourselves. And in the event something doesn't happen, we need to make sure that we have a spot in the lineup of everything, right? So of course, it shouldn't be your first thing if someone's like maybe a few days off, like hold on. But I do think that to be systematic and not lose sight of your business is also going to be very, very important at this time, because
especially when things are so emotional.
Totally. People think that it's, there's a lot of rumors going around there. I know the government's done a wonderful job of spewing out some misinformation here and there and trying to
the sound bites.
Yeah, for sure.
Don't pay rent.
Yeah, totally. It's and now there's like activist groups out there that are rallying and going on rent strikes and stuff like that. So like, once again, we hear a lot more of it. Obviously, we're in that space, in that community, so we see a lot of the warnings. But the average person doesn't as much, and I'm glad that the average person is smart enough to realize that, they have a responsibility. And even when this whole thing clears up, they still are going to owe their rent. So it's a matter of what can we do now to lessen the burden down the road.
Exactly. Yeah.
So definitely I would move forward with N4s in the event. But once again, be very, very careful, explain to your tenants why this is happening, just so that they understand. And of course, then once they do pay up anyway, then it's pretty much null and void, right? So as Kaylee also mentioned, providing resources to your tenants is going to be key. And there's a ton of resources out there for tenants in terms of, like the EI support, the COVID-19 emergency relief support. Now the question is, what support exists out there for us landlords? And that we don't see a whole lot of. There's just misinformation that's flying around. And I know that a lot of the tenants are thinking that, oh, it doesn't matter, just defer your mortgage payments. That's going to be the key to it all, because we'll defer our rent, you defer your mortgage payment. Don't do that. If you have to,
if you absolutely have to, that's a different story. But if you have an option and you can dip into your property's reserve fund, there needs to be some sort of negative repercussion at the end of all of it.
They say that it's not going to affect people's credit, but I was listening to a webinar with Claire Drage earlier today, and she said, as much as it might not show up on your credit, what lender is going to want to lend to you when in the first, not even a month has gone by, and you're like pushing those big red buttons saying that I need to hold off on everything.
I think to her point too, even though it might not affect your credit score per se, it's recorded. So, the next property you buy, if you're sitting down with the bank and they're looking at your file and you needed to defer on every single property you have, like, you're not coming off really in the greatest light, right? So be aware that could be something we have to deal with in the future.
Yeah, and
that's why we've chosen not to defer.
Yeah, we're very adamant that employees stay on board as well as lenders get their money. That's what it is. Because we have an obligation. We have a ton of private capital that's being borrowed right now for flip project, construction funding, those kind of things, and not paying those people is out of the question for right now, right? And if it comes down to it where it becomes super tight and pressing, then we're going to have to create a strategy and deal with that when it comes. But for right now, if you're able to move forward, then you just keep moving forward, right? So we're going to see what the results are on the market down the road, and that's going to be a separate conversation that we're going to have on a separate video. But effectively, one really great resource for landlords, which I'm a big advocate of, is the Ontario Landlord Watch Facebook group, right? Kayla has started it, and there's just a ton of great information on there. They're doing a wonderful job lobbying for more rights for landlords, because the window keeps getting smaller and smaller and smaller, and at a certain point there's very little that we can do, but they're doing a wonderful job. So I do recommend that anybody who listens to this go on to Facebook and check out Ontario Landlord Watch and ask to become a member. They're very welcoming, and they're very, very supportive whenever we have questions about things, because we do sometimes, is that they're the community is there to all work together. Okay. And then the last thing is, of course, I mean, a lot of you guys are seeing this through GHAIN, but if you're not, definitely join our community as well here on GHAIN. We are support, just like other real estate investors are. So come together, help each other, be responsible, stay safe, of course, and remember, be a leader. It's going to be very important, and the day is coming ahead to showcase that trait. Yeah. Otherwise, stay safe out there. Everyone keep well. And
hope you have a stress-free May 1st.
Yeah. The nail biter.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye, guys.